And good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in life transitions, elder care planning, and the senior living industry.
And I'm Corrie a clinical social worker and psychotherapist specializing in grief and loss.
Coming up on the first half of today's show, November is Children's Grief Awareness Month, and we're going to be talking to Jon Reider, CEO of Myra's Kids Foundation, about why and how Montrealers are recognizing this important topic. I know, Corrie, it is an important topic and dear to your heart, isn't it?
Without a doubt.
And talk about a good topic. You wanted to bring up an initiative by Jack and Jill stores in Queen Mary,
That's correct. Right? Thanks, Matt, for reminding me. So there is a program going on through Jack and Jill, the store on Queen Mary. It's called Random Acts of Kindness Initiative, and it's being done in memory of Ellie White. So basically, all through the month of November, they're asking children to spread kindness throughout giving compliments, writing a note to a friend or a teacher, drawing a picture for a senior, or actually coming up with your own idea, and then the children can illustrate that act of kindness and bring it into Jack and Jill, where they're actually going to be posting these drawings. And it's really just special. It's really just to encourage. There's no fee to this event. It's really just about paying it forward and encouraging kids to be kind.
Yeah, no, super initiative, and hats off to Jack and Jill. They're at 5333 Queen Mary. All right, Corrie, what do we have coming up on the second half?
And on the second half of the show, how a Parkinson's diagnosis 14 years ago motivated a family to live their best life possible.
Yeah, can't wait. We're going to have Rudy and Artemis Erfel on the show. They are just fantastic, and we'd like you to stay tuned after the second half here. All right, Corrie.
So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jon Reider. He is actually a financial consultant for the last 35 years, but more than that to me, of course, and to everybody. He has also, for the past 7 years, been the founder and CEO of Myra's Kids Foundation. We're going to hear a lot about that, but I'll just say Myra's Kids Foundation is a safe place for bereaved children to honor and understand their grief. He's also my partner in crime, Myra's Kids Foundation, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you back to Life Unrehearsed, Jon.
How are you?
Always good to chat. So I mentioned it, but let's start off with if you can give a general overview of what is Myra's Kids Foundation.
So Myra's Kids Foundation, which, as Corrie just mentioned, started 7 years ago, is an organization that provides support at no charge to the families to children who have suffered the loss of a close family member. We provide year-round activities and support groups, and also a summer camp program for these children.
You know, Jon, glad to have you back, first of all. You are really the driving force behind Myra's Kids Foundation, with a nice little effort with your sidekick, Corrie, here. However, Jon, what I love about this is you have a personal story and how this even began. Can you tell us more?
Sure. Thanks, Matt. And again, thank you for having me back on the show. So the genesis of Myra's Kids Foundation is really a dream that I had, that at one point in time I could help children who had suffered the same trauma that I had experienced when I was 3 years old. My mother died when I was 3. And in those days, in the 1960s, there really were no support groups. And the thinking at that time was really just to erase the memory of the one that had died. And I realized through my life growing up that was not the best way to deal with the death of a close family member. And I always said that I would do anything to help other children that had suffered a loss like I did. And that's how Myra's Kids Foundation came to be. And really, over the past 7 years, I couldn't be prouder of what we have accomplished to date, and the families and the children that have really become a part of the Myra's Kids family.
That's the voice of Jon Reider, CEO and founder of Myra's Kids Foundation. He's telling us about Myra's Kids program, and we're also going to get into the fact that November is Children's Grief Awareness Month. Jon, how many children are affected by grief and loss?
Well, it's unfortunately 1 in 13 children experience the death of a sibling or a parent before the age of 17 years old. So it's very, as I say, unfortunately widespread. And there is such a need to reach out and do whatever we can for these children that have suffered this traumatic loss.
You know, John, it's a staggering statistic. 1 in 13 before the age of 17 years old. And that's the individual. You know, let's multiply that out with how it affects the other family members, the village of these children. So they're affected as well, aren't they?
Most definitely. If you look at statistics, what they say is that for each person in a family that dies, there are 9 people left behind. But it's so much more than just the people in the family. It affects the schools where the children go to. It affects all relationships that they're involved in. So it really is something that needs to be addressed and understood by the overall community.
Yeah, you know, Corrie, we're gonna throw you into this conversation as well, because you are so involved in what you do as a profession, and obviously with Jon and Myra's Kids Foundation. I'd like to get your perspective, Corrie, on how childhood grief, how is it seen?
So it's a great question that you're asking. Someone recently said to me, what does a grieving child look like? Mm-hmm. And the answer is like every other child. Do not be fooled. When you look at them, they may look exactly the same. It's what they're feeling, what they're coping with, what they're struggling with inside. And that's what sets them apart and makes them different than their peers, because they do feel alone and misunderstood. And we need to be looking all and be aware of this, because we know they need validation. They need people to talk about the death, which is, again, why we're really putting it in the forefront on the community agenda. We see they can have poor grades. They can have difficulty sleeping. They can have their changes in behavior, like appetites can be changed. You can see regression depending on the age of the child. So it shows up in a multitude of ways, but it really is about changes in behavior, and not to be fooled, because they might look the same on the outside, but they certainly feel very, very different on the inside. And I think this natural inclination to protect our children from any adversity is, well, let's not talk about it. We don't want to upset them. Well, folks listening out there, nothing is upsetting as what just happened. So by not validating their experiences, by not normalizing that this is tough, this is hard, but we're here to support you, to help you and get you through that. That is part of the strategy and the way to help these children.
You know, I just love listening to you when you're talking about, because it's so true. You know, going back, Jon, like you were saying, when you were younger, 3 years old, this is in the 60s, it was sort of like, okay, let's put this, you know, under the rug here and avoid it at all costs. It was taboo subject, and really, like you said, Jon, absolutely not the answer. Corrie, great words of advice. You're listening to Life on Rehearse, and we're talking with Jon Reider, CEO of Myra's Kids Foundation, and Corrie Sirota, my partner in crime here, is also chiming in, as this is her specialty in grief and bereavement. We have to head out to traffic, but when we come back, we're going to ask Jon and Corrie about what is Children's Grief Awareness Day and what's involved with that.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. I'm Corrie Sirota, along with Matt Del Vecchio, and I have this huge smile on my face because that's the Myra's Kids Camp song that we launched this year. We are talking with Jon Reider, CEO of Myra's Kids Foundation, about how to support bereaved children, particularly in recognition of this month, November, being Children's Grief Awareness Month. Jon, it's Children's Grief Awareness Month, but let's talk about Children's Grief Awareness Day. What is it?
Awareness Day is designed to help everyone become more aware of the needs of grieving children and of the benefits that they can obtain through the support of others. It's really an opportunity to make sure that grieving children receive the support they need, and also that they don't feel alone. The whole vision of Children's Grief Awareness Day is for grieving children to feel that they are surrounded by all this support from every which way. And we are so proud of the fact that Myra's Kids has really taken the lead this year for the first time. We are really taking the lead and providing programming and activities and really trying to mark Children's Grief Awareness Day, which takes place this Thursday, November 17th, making sure that people really understand that there's a need to be aware of the fact that there are children who are grieving and they need our support.
Yeah, Corrie, I'm going to bring you into this because, I didn't even know this existed, Children's Grief Awareness Day. And this is a big deal internationally. Can you give examples of what's going on around the world?
Absolutely. We have actually put together a calendar of events that doesn't only include, and we'll talk about what we're doing in Montreal, but it includes nationally, internationally, all kinds of events that are happening. So just for an example, November 15th and 16th, CAGC, which is the Canadian Alliance for Grieving Children and Youth, has a 2-day online conference for education for professionals who are working with individuals and children for sure, who are grieving. On November 17th, Highmark Caring Place has a virtual event all day, starting at well early in the morning, going through into I think till about 8 p.m. It's online on Facebook, where they have a multitude of professionals. Some are reading stories, some are doing art projects, some are talking. There are professionals. Actually, I had the pleasure of being one of the speakers for that event, and I'm talking about how do you support grieving teens. So there's a lot of people. It's a very impressive agenda of a roster of professionals, and that's a free event all day on Facebook on Highmark Caring Place, or if you Google childrensgriefday.com, you can not only see that and access that event, many other events all over North America that are marking this important day and month.
That's right, on November 17th. And like Jon was saying before, it's just not for the individual. Up to 9 people are also affected within the family. So, these worldwide events and these live virtual feeds, Facebook and so on, are wonderful. Jon, I'm going to bring you back in here because you guys are doing some stuff locally as well with Myra's Kids Foundation. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. One of the things that we're doing is we felt it would be very important to bring the schools into the area of understanding children's grief awareness and the importance of supporting children. So we have a number of schools that are partnering with us where we are going to be speaking to the students. And also we're going to be distributing the symbol of children's grief is a blue butterfly. And we have a signature blue butterfly that we designed for Myra's Kids Foundation. And we are going to be distributing buttons for children at schools to wear, just acknowledging that they are part of the whole support network for children's grief awareness. In addition to that, we have a very special ceremony that's going to be taking place on Thursday evening, the 17th, at Rideau Funeral Home on Sources. And this event we're calling the Blue Light Ceremony. And it will be very special with music, and there will be food. We have a large number of families and children who will be a part of the event, but it's open to the whole community. We will be distributing the blue butterflies, but in addition, we will have a ceremony where each child will receive a blue butterfly, and they will write the name of their loved one on the butterfly and then attach it all together to a wall where we will be able to see all the blue butterflies together with their loved ones' names on it. So it, I think, will be very moving and very special. And I think that as we know from everything that we do during the year, it's always so special when we can do anything to honor the memory of our loved ones.
Absolutely. Listening to Life Unrehearsed with Matt and Corrie. That's the voice of Jon Reider. Jon's the CEO of Myra's Kids Foundation, and we're talking about how to support bereaved children in recognition of Children's Grief Awareness Month. In fact, Children's Grief Awareness Day is upcoming here on the 17th. Jon and Corrie, I'm going to bring you back in here. We talked about this stat that I'm still amazed at. 1 in 13 children under 17 years old, and affecting up to 9 family members for each individual child. I know people would like to get involved because it affects so many people. So maybe, Corrie, I'll start with you in terms of how people can get more involved to support the cause.
Thank you. So I'm going to make it really easy. It is so simple. You could literally wear a blue T-shirt on any day in November or on November the 17th and say, I'm wearing this T-shirt in recognition of Children's Grief Awareness Day. You could tell 3 friends that you listened, you heard this, and you know that this is something that exists. If everyone that hears about it and knows about it tells 3 friends, how amazing would that be? How many more people would know? One of the companies that saw our campaign, because we are asking people to take a picture of themselves wearing a blue T-shirt, and we're posting on our Facebook and Instagram. Every day we post either a meme or something about grief or a picture of someone. You'll see Jon in there, I'm in there, my husband Andy's in there. A lot of our volunteers got into it, but take a picture of yourself, take a picture of your family, take a picture of your dog or your cat wearing a blue T-shirt and send it to us. That would be a great. It's easy. You don't even have to leave your house, and you're just showing support of this incredible cause. And of course, if you'd like to come out on the 17th, we'd love to have you. I just need to know you're coming because we're already almost
And we're going to give that information, right? They just have to simply look up Myra's Kids Foundation, your website, right? And they can find out about that event. Corrie, Jon Reider, we want to thank you very much. Jon, one more time, how can people find out a little bit more about your wonderful foundation, which I may add, the vast majority, if not all, is at no cost to kids and families. So great job. So one more time, Jon, how can people get a hold of Myra's Kids Foundation?
myraskids.ca. You can just find us. That's the easiest way. You can see us on Instagram, Facebook, and we love to hear from people. We would love to hear of any other families we can support. And again, as you mentioned, Matt, no charge for anything that we do, thanks to our incredible donors and who have supported us from day one.
Wonderful cause. Jon, thank you very much. Corrie, I want to thank you for what you do as well, and the dynamic duo. Keep up the great work.
My pleasure.
Corrie, what do we have coming up on the second half?
Coming up on Life Unrehearsed, how a Parkinson's diagnosis 14 years ago motivated a family to live their best possible life. That's coming up after the CTV News Update.